Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this, my second channel, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with all the Flat Earth debate, pre-show and after-show goodness. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a crypto and PayPal link in the info box below the video. Now, we are joined by Ranty Flat Earth, so I'm going to transition across to the Hangout, see if I can get Ranty's attention. Hey Ranty, how you doing? Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, not bad. The kid's going nuts, finding something very, very funny for some reason.
Sounds like she's having fun.
Yeah, she is. It's quite contagious. What's so funny? Yeah, she's looking at a cat video. Okay. Sign of things to come.
Yeah, it's all right. Oh, I've just done a bit of a live stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. There was nothing to really talk about. It was just a case of letting the guys know that if you have a wrench on my channel, you can go to my comments on some of the videos and stuff, and you can remove them if you don't like them.
Right.
So it was a case of getting rid of the trolls. You know, I can't keep up with the amount of comments I get on my channel. I'm getting like ridiculous amounts, 50, 60 notifications every day. And I ain't got time to go through it all. So I've basically given them carte blanche to just go ahead and ban people if they leave some kind of comment. If they just call me like a thick twat, you know, that's their comment, you know, you thick flat-headed twat or something, then it'll just be a case of, right, well, if you see a comment like that, just hit the three fingers on the side and just ban him, you know. And that's what I was doing. So I was doing a bit of it live, you know, banning the trolls.
You have notifications turned on for YouTube messages. Turn that off.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to. I had one from Slice Barcane.
So?
Just now, so not long ago. Let me see if I can bring up what it was, because hang on. I've banned him off my channel.
Sly?
Why? Yeah, Sly got rid of him. I just feel that they're all disingenuous.
Yeah,
I honestly can't be doing with the same clique that they are. They just make up bullshit, and I just can't be arsed with it all. So I got rid of Sly anyway. He reckons he's displayed your critical flaw
hey, Flat
in the measure. Hello? Anybody?
He's sorting himself out, don't worry.
Right, okay, so the comment's still up. It's on my notification, but I won't see it because I've banned him. Anyway, so it says, sorry, Ranty, I displayed your critical flaw in the measurements versus size relationship demo. When performed properly, it's quite clear the Earth is not flat. So I'm assuming that's to do with the Miles Davis observation that Adam sorted out the
the mass for it, yeah.
Yeah, and they don't like it. I don't know. They'll try and, you know, I mean, even when they have, like, you know, if you think of Anthony, when he caught them with the Whispergate, right? They've still not admitted it, and it's obvious that it was them. You know, I mean, this is the type of people you're dealing with, and, you know, I don't see why we should pander to them anymore. So I've just banned them. Ban conspiracy cats, ban Siaman Dan. Don't need them. Get rid of him. I know you like him, though.
It's not that I like them, it's all a welcome policy.
Yeah.
Six minutes and we're starting.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Flat and Earth?
Yeah, I hear you. Morning.
You keep talking, I just want to mic check you.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. How you guys doing today?
Not
Everything
bad.
good? Hope so. Check 1, 2. Sibilance. Check. Check 2.
Perfect, thank you very much. That's what I need, seriously. What you normally get is, hello new guest. New guest will come off mute, and then maybe Arwin, and not picking on Arwin just because he's not here. You know, someone like Arwin will start talking when you want to mic check the new guest.
Of course.
Are you going to giggle all the way through my intro as well? Don't make me laugh, Eleanor. It's supposed to be super serious. Right.
Where is Arwin? Is he?
He does the early
Is he
bird
still
show.
doing it?
So the early bird show is running for the next 5 minutes. It starts at 1 and finishes at 2 when we start. So you'll find that the intro will start and then Arwin and whoever else is on his show will pile in as well.
Right. I think I might have clashed with his then because I went live at essentially the same time that he did then. So
Don't worry about it. That's what I say to Arwin, because on a Monday I start early, and he came in on about 10 days ago, whatever it was, the Monday before last, and said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "About to start my show." He's like, "Well, I've got my show at 1." I was like, "Arwin, you've been coming on the show for a year now. You know I start early on a Monday." And he's like, "Do you?" I thought, fucking hell, you're so... You just don't pay attention, because it's not like it's a new thing. But he's like, "Well, what do I do?" I was like, "Do your show anyway. Don't pay attention to what other people are doing. There's thousands of people live streaming. Just do it. Just try and keep a schedule. If you said you're going to stream at 1, stream at 1. Don't worry about what I'm doing, or anybody else for that matter." I said the same to Vegan Goy. He's like, "Oh, I try and fit around other people. I don't want to be strutting on anyone's toes when I do my live stream." It's like, just do your live stream when you want to do your live stream. Four minutes.
yeah, this hill that I've found is called Nicky Nook.
Say that again, Ranty.
The name of the hill that's like 700 feet tall is called Nicky Nook.
Nicky Nuts.
Nicky Nook.
What a name.
I know. Funny as. But it's a good observation point. I mean, I can understand if you was up there, you can see 4 miles, and it's uninterrupted as well. I could see all the way clear to Wales if the weather was good.
Can I take this off for you, please? Let me take this off. Yeah, don't need it anymore.
Hello?
That's it. That's a good girl. You wreck everything just before I start. Eleanor's going to totally upstage me during my intro. She's already climbing all over me. Got the back door, by the way.
I haven't yet. Get it open.
Don't panic if you see Flatten Earth adding a load of people to the back chat.
Oh. Well.
Owen does it every time. He shits his pants. Oh no, we're being infested. It's like, no, that's not what's happening.
Well, there's no real point in me having the back door open then, if that's the case.
Oh, there is.
I won't know who's coming in.
No, I'm just saying that at some point, there's a good chance, if we get infested, often Flatten Earth will be just adding the trolls that he knows are trolls to the back chat so we can remove them, so they can't even get in. But that's not to say that some new person might just jump in that you've never heard of, or that he hasn't got, that, you know, he's not like, what's the word? Omnipotent. He can't be everywhere and know everyone. 60 seconds. Check, 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 check. Check, check.
Cash. No checks.
Welcome. Good.
Cash, no check.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, then there's a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's a crypto and PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Flatten Earth and Ranty. Good to have you both.
Morning. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Any signs of curvature, gentlemen?
Well, I've been looking
nothing.
for it and I can't find it.
Take that as a no. Any signs of axial rotation?
Nah.
The Earth-based variety of Ranty?
Nope.
Nah.
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container for all the people who believe in the vacuum of space?
No. I mean, I did go
No.
to the garage. And I asked them if I could have some air pressure.
Hey, Travis.
And when they said, you know, you'll have to buy a tyre with that, I was like, no, I want it without the tyre, just the air pressure. Unfortunately, they couldn't give it me, so I assume it's not possible.
Hang on a second. Hey, Travis.
Hello. What?
Good to have you.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it is one of those. Asking or not giving a qualification to the question is better when you've got someone like you to say, well, yeah, I went into the tyre shop and said, I want all the cushy benefits of the air pressure that you get, but without the added expense of the tyre. Just make the air pressure stick around the rim without anything surrounding it. That'd be really handy, because air pressure is really cheap, whereas the tyre's really expensive. So can you give me gas pressure without the tyre?
Yeah, they weren't very helpful. unfortunately, so couldn't get it. So, based off that alone, I would say no, there is no pressure, no proof of pressure without a container.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
Nope.
No, I think Arwin would say there is no distance to the sun.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. What about scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope.
Nope.
Afraid not.
Hey, chocolate?
Chucky?
Morning,
Chocky?
guys. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Any signs of gravity, chocolate?
Not over here.
Damn it.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow or something.
It's the same relative density that we get, eh?
Ooh, relative density. I like that.
So,
When
what about...
When did you come up with that? Relative density?
That's what it is. Hey, Arwin.
Hey.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
9?
No.
Well, there is no proof because they've never dug further than 10 miles down. So how on earth are they supposed to know what's 8 miles? Right. Well, how are they supposed to know what's at the centre?
I think it's 12.75 kilometres, and it's the Kohler super deep borehole. I watched a video on it the other day because it's now just debris, and the main hole itself is probably, I don't know, 10 inches. It looks like a drainage pipe. I know from experience, my folks used to have a borehole, what they look like, but I envisage that being a little bit more dramatic than just like a 6-inch, 7-inch hole, that burrows down 12 plus kilometres. I imagine something a lot more grand, but no, it's just a tube with a metal plate welded on the top.
I'm always wondering about the conceptual molten iron core is, how is it supposed to stay molten like that?
Oh, there's a backstory to that.
The pressure doesn't create lava. It may create some heat, but I think creating how do you even do that?
Well, it's there in the first.
Emulate that?
It was created in the Great Bombardment, right? That's how it's originated. But based on the longevity of Earth, it should have cooled, right? Well, no, they've got an answer to that also incorporates the moon. So the planet named Theia was on an orbit that was on a crash course to Earth, and eventually did hit Earth at a glance. So it took the top corner, if you like, off Earth, smashed it to pieces, but also deposited Theia's molten iron core into Earth's. So
what?
No, I'm not joking. This is the rhetoric. I'm not kidding, right?
No.
So no, it gets better. It gets better.
And
gets better. Gets better.
This is the same thing that formed the moon, right?
Right. Oh yeah, you bastard. So yeah.
That's
so
like a
so the
child
debris.
story.
So the debris from Theia. So it's deposited its molten iron core in the Earth's molten iron core, right? And then the debris is ejected off into the outer space that we've debunked by virtue of the gas pressure we have. Nevertheless, this is their story, so I'll keep it within their narrative. So the debris flies off into outer space, but then coalesces into the moon under its own gravity. Doesn't get sucked back to Earth because of gravity, or sucked towards the sun, or fly out into space. No, it coalesces into the moon. That's why the fake moon rocks that are actually petrified wood are exactly like the stuff you get on Earth. It's because it is actually Earth. It was ejected when Theia smashed into us.
Wow.
So
That is
you
amazing.
say-
Arwin, you never heard that story?
No, not in its entirety like that. No.
But it's a beautiful
You've
story.
never seen like the Discovery
That blew
Channel?
my
Like this has
mind.
been on TV for years, man.
Man,
Absolutely
if you
true.
would have told me that when I was like 8, then I might still be a baller.
Oh, it's probably a different story when you were 8. So now it's that story. But it's a very
So
true
when-
story because they made it up themselves.
Yeah, but when you say coalesce, are you saying coalesce because you have to have something malleable? Because if you've got something
No.
solid, how are you going to combine solid objects?
Nah, they literally just made it as though all the rocks, because of gravity, all the rocks just formed up there, into
but
a
they're
sphere.
not going to. Right, but they're going to be. That's going to be like just taking a mass of Legos in your hand and putting them together and trying to form a sphere. They're not going to blend.
Yeah, but how could that ever work? You know, theoretically, if gravity is going to cause dust and everything to form a solid body, then if there already is another body in the vicinity, like Earth, then it could never find the time to form like that because there is a bigger competing body that will then attract all that. So it doesn't make any damn sense. It could only form simultaneously in the original galaxy formation.
That's how they say
Everything
the
was
Earth formed
dust and
originally.
then formed simultaneously the galaxy, basically.
But that's the same way they say the Earth formed originally.
Yeah, but it has to be formed simultaneously because if there's already some rock out there, then that's gonna be the bigger gravitational pull. See?
Right, but
You're really into this fairy tale,
the Earth was already in like a molten state, and then like I think what Nathan said was it Theia or something, some big planet-sized type rock came and hit it, and then all the pieces that flew off that didn't form into the core and add on to the mass of the Earth, all the pieces that flew up into space coalesced because of gravity into the moon. That's
so
the fairy tale.
When this happened, was the Earth inundated with water, or was it a bare rock?
Bear with me, Travis. I'll just check the historic records. Bear with me. I'll just check the history books.
No, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. There's nothing in the history books about it. They just made it up, Travis.
Well, from what I can recall, it was rock, basically. There was no water. The water got deposited on the Earth after that event. So once the moon had finished being created, and once the Earth had finished being created, then asteroid upon asteroid upon asteroid bombarded the Earth, taking all the water and depositing it throughout the whole of the Earth.
You mean comets?
Comets.
Asteroids or rocks?
Well, whichever.
Comets are pure water, supposedly.
Yeah, but that, to me, again, that goes back against what we understand physics. If you've got a spinning object, just say you've got a rock that's absolutely naked, but you've got it spinning. If you try to add anything to it, it's not gonna. It's gonna get expelled off.
Well, it was spinning apparently really fast, and then when
makes it even more poignant.
Yeah, but when the other object hit it, and it literally slowed it down, so it stopped it from spinning really fast and made it spin at the speed that we're going now, which is 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, but so before then, it was at 90 degrees, right?
Yeah,
Sorry,
so I mean, the
think
impact
you factored
essentially made it habitable.
You've missed something out. You've missed the part where Superman went backwards around the moon, around the Earth to change time. That had some effect on the tilt.
Yeah, my question is, what made the Earth stop at 23.4 degrees? Wouldn't it have kept going because it's got no resistance? If it got knocked off 90 degrees by 23.4, what made it stop at 23.4?
Oh damn! Somebody explain this to me. There's an answer to this, and they're going to kill me because it's someone I know well who told me he gave me the explanation for this recently, and I can't remember. And at the time, I was like, "Wow, that's so cool." I can't remember it now. If you are that person that told me that information, I'm really sorry. My memory is a sieve.
You'd have to have two. It would be like a circle within a circle, right? A wheel within a wheel, because you've got the spin of the Earth for its 24-hour cycle, but then you've also got the fact that it was hit off its 90-degree angle, so that would have made it spin at a different degree as well. So you would have had one object spinning in two different directions, and then it stopped eventually at 23.4. But then again, there's no 23.4 because there is no up or down. There is no 90 degrees in.
We're getting a lot of 666 in the chat, so maybe it's something to do with, I don't know, 2 times 3 is 6, and then 4 plus 2 is 6 times 3, which will give 3 6s.
I was just gonna say that, like, I never really understand the tilt because we're on a ball, and like Travis said, there's no up or down, right, in space or whatever. So what is the tilt? Like, it's still a ball. It's still, you know. Like,
Yeah. Right, you've got it right. That's excellent. You've got to have a tangent. You have to have a reference point. Otherwise, there is no tilt.
Right.
That's brilliant. Right. Yeah.
I never got that because it's like, all right, so it's
I see
the
what you
tilt
mean.
is
What's
just a
the...
line that you got going through a ball, but it's still a ball.
No, it's in reference to the plane that the Earth takes around the sun. So it's an axis in reference to that plane that it orbits the sun.
Right, but that still proves Chocolate's point. You're still having a reference of axis where you've got a linear reference. But there is no linear reference ultimately. I mean, you can't...
I'm not denying that it's bollocks.
Right, yeah.
I think it's just more nonsense just to add on to the reasonings for the seasons.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is...
You know how they use the tilt to explain the seasons, even though we're supposedly 3 million miles closer to the sun during the winter, but because of the tilt, it's just winter. we don't feel hotter because of the tilt and the direction the sun rays are hitting the Earth. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Well, supposedly they say that because it is closer to the sun, that the top side that is more exposed to the sun then gets more heat and thus you feel the summer, but the other side is exposed to less sunlight. And that's why it freezes there. Doesn't make any sense though, because it's still the same distance, so that same sun would exert a lot more heat, and it obviously doesn't, because during the winter the sun just isn't that hot. But that's why, according to the heliocentric lore. Stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, that's also another interesting... Why don't we have different pictures of the Earth from every angle? I mean, it's like just this indiscriminate... Like when they took this picture, it's the North American continent or Africa.
I'll field that one, Travis. I'll field that one. Space is fake, as are all the things that have come from that fake medium.
I'd love to see a satellite photo of the North Pole, in which you can actually see the north of Russia and Greenland, maybe
I've got
Iceland and Canada. I'd like to see that.
I've got it in the Reader's Digest World Atlas that Brian Mullen.
Hold on, who's that? I got an unknown.
Don't worry,
he's having problems with the link, so I added him.
Just don't worry, Arwin.
Can I do a shout out?
You can do whatever you like. I was about to call you Anthony then.
All right, I'm gonna shout out Vegan Goy. I was listening to his live stream yesterday, and he's looking for a wife.
Hi,
so
good luck with that.
I did actually say I would shout him out today. If you guys want to go and head over to his channel, he lists all his pros and cons about being a husband and what sort of wife he's looking for. So if you feel like you could know anybody that would be interested in having a husband, then Vegan Goy is the one. He's definitely actively pursuing a wife right now.
That's lovely. I didn't realise
this flat Earth dating channel.
Didn't realise this had become a dating channel. But there we go. Jolly good for Flat Earth Vegan, I suppose. Hope he gets his end away.
Anyway, just going back to what Arwen said, yeah, the Reader's Digest World Atlas that I have has an image from the top down, where you have all of the continents. Brian Mullen showed it, and in one of his videos, and I went out and got on Amazon and bought the same edition for like $8. I think it's from 1983. Is it an
actual photograph, supposedly?
Yeah. Yep.
Can you present?
Full. No, I'm in my truck right now. It's back at my apartment, so I'll do it when I can at another time.
Okay. Do it tomorrow on the Early Bird Show.
I'll try. I'll take a picture of it if I can and just have it in my phone.
Can't wait to see that.
We almost concluded housekeeping. Can I just ask the final question? Is there any signs of Earth radius?
Arr.
No.
Nope.
Nope, we need curvature for that.
Yeah, but diffraction doesn't exist. The obstruction proves it has to be the curve.
Yeah, no begging the question fallacy is just actual proof that they've got a radius that they apply arbitrarily. No evidence of that.
If it's curved, then it must have a radius.
No. not the fallacy. proof of the actual
come
radius.
on, Oakley, you know you're lying. Sorry,
We're going to assume this R,
It's
okay?
a bad Tim imitation. I can't do
That's
this.
one of my favourite lines from GeoStreber. We're going to assume this R, okay? Yeah, that was him with Betty, debating Betty. It got to a point where she starts asking him about the R value. We're going to assume this R, okay? Love it.
Shout out to the body of science.
Shout out to the Geo Whisperer. What's Soundly up to recently? I don't keep up with Soundly, but how is the Geo Whisperer doing?
I don't know. I said shout out to body of science.
Oh, Geo, I saw him on a hangout yesterday. Which one was it?
Did people give him shit for being the Geo Whisperer? I hope so. If people
There was
aren't
no
giving
mention,
Soundly
like
shit
nothing ever happened.
for lying through his back teeth about feeding Soundly while he was on a hangout with Anthony, feeding GeoStreber, Alex, while he was on a hangout with Anthony. So, in other words, Soundly was in the background feeding GeoStreber information, and then when confronted with the evidence, he lied through his back teeth. So this guy's got no credibility. So it's worth giving Soundly a bit of shit if you see him, because he deserves it for being a liar, which he is.
Well, the Ballers were on a show yesterday. I went over to their chat for a moment. Didn't upvote, so I don't even know which one it was. But GeoStreber was in there. GeoStreber! And yeah, they were basically just jacking off to each other, saying how Lily was such a liar and so.
Oh, really?
Blah, blah,
So
blah.
these people are projecting, basically, because GeoStreber has been caught red-handed, lying through his back teeth about being fed by Soundly, and Soundly has lied through his back teeth about feeding GeoStreber. So lest we forget, lads, you have been caught red-handed. You are liars. You have no credibility anymore, Soundly or GeoStreber. None. Where's the hangout? They suddenly have gone very quiet about this absolute cast iron proof that Anthony was listening to Soundly on a hangout in the background. That's what they claimed. Outrageous lies. Just lies.
Oh, it was on Red Rhetoric. I'll put the link in the...
Maybe audio guys still looking for it. Just have some faith in.
Yeah.
Like they have faith in our.
Another liar. Sean Hufford, another outright liar. Just jumped in to save the day and cover the backs of liars. Put up for liars. Defend liars. That's all Sean Hufford did. Scumbag. Total scumbag. All three of them. Just scum. Scummy liars.
That's why I've blocked them all on my channel now. They've had a year of being able to try and take content of mine and misrepresent it and make videos and bullshit, basically. So they don't have a voice anymore on my channel, so don't need them. All they are is trolls.
Hey, I have a question. If you guys wouldn't mind, I did some footage when I was in California, and I could not find out any information on the oil rigs that were on the Channel Islands. And I got Sandra Coolpix suggested that I looked up Marine Tracker. And I don't know if you guys want to kill time, if you want to pull that up and see if you can locate the oil rigs for me. And then I can look at it a little bit later, but I'd be interested in finding out the distances. Because
Ranty's probably your man.
I even called the Coast Guard in California. And
That's
like,
Ranty
well,
nicely, he might do it for you. Ranty's good at that sort of thing. You there, Ranty?
I can't hear what you're saying, Anif.
I said you're good at doing that sort of thing if you're willing.
What's that? I honestly can't hear what you're saying.
Do you want me to say it again?
Yeah, please, yeah.
The Channel Islands off of Ventura County in California have oil rigs in front of them, and I cannot locate their dimensions and their statistics for the distances to the islands and to the shore. And Sandra Kulpik suggested that I look up Marine Tracker to see if that has any information. And I just haven't done it yet, and I just thought if you guys wanted to kill some time looking that up, that'd be interesting to look up.
I'll have a look. Can you just give me the location of it again, please?
Ventura County, or Ventura, California, and the islands are called the Channel Islands.
Hey, Zinda.
Hello. How are you?
Good, good, good. You back in home turf now?
Sorry? Again, please?
You back home?
Yeah, I'm back home. Just arrived yesterday evening. It was great. Please go on. What someone was saying.
So one of the things that I observed in my video was there looked like a barge. One of the oil rigs I could see, and then behind the oil rig, was a barge. So I'm guessing that the Marine Tracker would have information on where that barge could travel between the islands.
All right, so you're not looking for the actual wind turbines then?
Well, they're not turbines. No, I am looking for the oil rigs. There are oil platforms. There should be 4 of them, and they all start with the letter G. There's oil rig Grace, Gail, some other woman's name with a G, Gertrude, and another one, you know. So there's 4 oil rigs all starting with G in the Channel Islands area, and I could not find it anywhere. Scuba diver companies didn't know. They knew where they were, but they didn't have the information on the distances and their dimensions.
Okay, I'll have a look if I can find it.
I've noticed some things on the flight back to home. We flew with Emirates, and I noticed 3 things, which kind of from a flat Earth perspective would imply that Emirates kind of have to be on the conspiracy side, right? Part of the conspiracy, because the first thing was that they showed the speed of the airplane, right, when it was like at 20,000 feet high. And then they showed the actual speed and the speed the airplane would have on the ground. The distance it travels on the ground and the distance it travels in the air, which means that they, of course, they have to prepose a ball Earth, because on a ball Earth this would be right? This would be the speed difference would be noticeable.
Are you saying they are taking a longer distance because of the height?
Yeah.
How would they know?
Just saying, like they just put it on the screen, the speed of the airplane, which how
would you measure the distance travel on the outside? They're just having GPS say, yeah, you're here.
Yeah, GPS.
Geographically at a specific point. That doesn't mean that proves they're traveling more distance in that higher air layer.
I didn't say it proves it. They travel at a longer distance. I just said what they showed me on the screen.
They showed you, or they just assumed that it was a longer distance?
Well, I mean, that's kind of both. I mean,
right, so they just declared, yeah, it's a longer distance because we're on a ball. They didn't actually give you any...
No, they didn't say the reason, but I came up for the reason by myself, and it's the only explainable reason why they would show it to me, not saying that it is proof for a ball Earth, just saying that they have to be a part of the conspiracy to justify the claim, right?
Right.
So I just was wondering, right, if every air company, like Emirates, is part of the conspiracy.
Well,
You
again,
want to
I
get the
wouldn't say
right
that it was part
equipment,
of the
and if you want to
conspiracy.
have air clarity, yeah, you're going to have to be part of that conspiracy. Otherwise, you're going to be rejected as a corporation, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other funny thing was they had like 3 cameras on the airplane. One that pointed bottom, one in front, and one on top of the airplane. When I looked at the camera, when it was like, I don't know, 10,000 feet high, it really looked curved, right? The horizon. And that was like, dude, really? Are they going really that far to like hide the lie? And
Yes.
when it landed,
Yes.
when it landed, I've seen that it was just a camera that worked that way, that the edges of the screen were a little bit tilted downwards, right? A little curved. But it was the only camera that did so. The front camera didn't, or the camera that pointed downwards didn't have this probability either. So I was kind of astonished that they would make it work that way.
Do you have any conclusions, Zinder, then? Or do you have any thoughts in terms of where you're...
Doesn't prove anything. It's just that Emirates would have to be a part of the conspiracy.
I was going to say that's
no, but I mean even from a personal level. I just mean from a personal level in terms of where you are in your thought process.
Oh, I kinda closer to flat Earth in terms of the angle of view things, because many flat earthers did a great job showing me that ships disappearing behind the horizon has another explanation than the Earth's curve, which this was the proof and the only proof I accepted until now regarding the flat Earth.
Wow.
Right?
Kudos.
I appreciate your intellectual honesty, Zinder.
Yet I can't.
I really do.
Yet I wouldn't say I'm a flat earther, because there are still many other things I can't wrap my hand around regarding flat Earth.
You shouldn't. You should just question everything. So as far as the fisheye lens that you're talking about, one of them seemed to be fisheye in the Emirates, and then the one on the bottom wasn't. So what do you make of it? Do you think it's a conspiracy, or what are you saying?
It didn't really. I mean, it wasn't like a fisheye lens you've seen on the high altitude balloons they show us sometimes, right? Where you clearly can see that the Earth is too curved, even if it's a globe, right? It was just a little. It was just like the edge, a little bit sliced towards the bottom, right?
It's a wide angle lens. It's not fisheye. It's just wide angle. But when you've been asked what your conclusions were, it was left out there hanging. So I'll just repeat it because it's more of a question that you were left with, which is, well, are Emirates in on the conspiracy? And it's been echoed by Flat and Earth. And it's an interesting question, but I'll kind of paraphrase it back to you, which is to say that when you've been on the panel and absolutely staunchly fighting for globe belief, are you in on the conspiracy?
If I'm in on the conspiracy?
Yeah. Are you, as an advocate of globe Earth, and knowing that there is a debate and debating it, let's say tomorrow you were, given a piece of evidence that made you absolutely certain it was flat, just for the sake of argument, there was something that left no doubt in your mind. At that point, you look back on the debate, or listen back to a debate where you were adamant and fought the position of the globe. Would you say that you were part of the conspiracy, if there is to be asserted that there is one?
No, I wouldn't. The same way as a science teacher teaches the globe Earth model or the heliocentric model isn't a part of the conspiracy.
So why would anything different apply to Emirates?
I don't know. There's a third fact, and they they showed me that you can have access to internet on the airplane because of satellites, and the people who designed the system that that you have the internet connection and everything, they either were fed false facts, and or they had to build a system around to actually get internet from satellites, right? I don't know enough how it works, so for this example, okay. I think they have to be a part of the conspiracy, because otherwise they couldn't really build a system that gets the internet from the radio towers below or so.
Not at all. So satellites is a buzzword that has a narrative attached to it, right? So when you say satellites, you immediately, and I know this to be true, you mean things orbiting a spherical Earth in the vacuum of space. That's what you mean by satellites, correct?
Yes.
Right, they can't exist, Zinder. That, as you've described it, does not exist.
I was talking about the conspiracy part of Emirates. I mean,
no. But what I'm saying is, if you take that as fact, so what you're saying is they claim that they're getting this signal from satellites. Well, no, they might be getting a signal from above them, from something, but the fact that it's punted as satellites, and satellites ipso facto in the current narrative are hunks of metal falling around a spherical Earth in a vacuum, that's their narrative, and that isn't possible. It doesn't mean they're not getting a signal or you're not getting internet, or the fact that you are proves the satellites. Neither are true. But I'm just saying, when you say the word satellite, or somebody punts that, 3-4 years ago, if you'd have said satellites to me, instinctively and immediately, I would immediately visualise a hunk of metal falling in orbit around a spherical Earth in a vacuum. And when you say it's got a signal from a satellite, you mentally put the two together and go, well, there you go, that's proof, because I've got a signal on a plane.
Yeah, I said that I got the internet from satellites regarding what Emirates told me as a promotion for the system. I didn't say satellites are real.
I've got to get this in, because this is the conclusion. Sorry to cut you off. But you watch the show, right? That's a formal logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent. So I'll just spell it out. If satellite reception on my phone, right, then satellites in space. Satellites are in space because I get satellite reception on my phone. So you're affirming one to be the true. Now that's based on me saying that you would assume the word satellite has the attachment of vacuum of space, hunk of metal falling around a sphere. So you're just affirming the consequent. If you get a signal, then there are satellites in space. There are satellites in space because I get a signal. No, the one doesn't necessarily follow the other. It's just a formal logical fallacy. It's called affirming the consequent.
What I said, you kind of have to listen to it as if I told you the plot of a film, or like how Frodo destroyed the ring and destroyed Sauron. So when I told you about satellites, it was because I told you that Emirates, they promoted it as the satellite internet connection, right? And so the point wasn't to say if satellites are real or not. My point was that the people who built the system, the internet system on the airplane, either they built it so that it could get connections from radio towers on the Earth, or they are in the conspiracy and they act like they got a system for satellites, but yet they got a system for the radio towers, right? And this was to answer the question.
No. You've boiled it down to just two options, like they are the only two options. So I can only give you another example from experience. So for a limited period, back when I was very young and push email came out, it was attached in no uncertainty and in no short way to satellite communications in terms of its reliability. And I was out there punting it, telling people about how that technology worked. Does that mean that I'm part of that conspiracy? Even if the company that I was punting it for had quite a large hand in developing that push technology? Well, no. It's just buzzwords and spin to sell a product. and anybody who's punting it, if they're sourcing the information from somewhere and they're just told, yeah, you're paying tens of thousands of however much to get this connection, it comes from satellites, they're going to punt it as such. It doesn't mean they're in on a conspiracy, it just means they're paying for a service, receiving it and selling it on to their customers. It's a satellite service, right? Okay, no worries. Why would they question it?
Yeah, you're kind of right about it. I don't know how it exactly would work to build a system on the airplane if satellites were real, if you have to consider other things than you know, how you establish the system and so on. So my question kind of was, yeah, do they have to, do they need the knowledge of satellites aren't real to build it, or, yeah, as you answered
no,
before,
satellites can still be real because the mainstream will tell you about Google Loon. So they can put flotational devices, satellites that are the size of iPhones. And if there's a trajectory that the airplanes take, they could just put a bunch of repeaters on that trajectory, and that's how you get your internet.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Google Loon?
No, I didn't.
You've not heard of Google Loon?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have mentioned that earlier. I thought that was a given, and you were just kind of ignoring it.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, I've never heard about it.
Okay, well, yeah, you can. I'll tell you, the first person that hinted at this was The Simpsons. So they had Bart looking through a telescope into the daytime sky, and he sees the ABC or similar channel satellite going by, but it's like a falling apart, you know, typical vision of a satellite, a square box with a few electronics on it and then 2 solar arrays, but it's hanging from helium balloons and sort of making a creaking sound as it goes past in his satellite, in his telescope view. Well, that was the first hint at this, and that was maybe 10 years ago. So, you know, Simpsons were hinting at this long ago.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. I've never heard about it, but seems kind of reasonable. Why I could have internet on the airplane without satellites then.
Yeah, and the first.
Well, there's actual footage of this. The Australian failed satellite balloon launch. Have you ever seen
Mark
that?
Sargent's got it on his channel. There's one in South America as well, where there's been one recently, like in the last week or two, that just fell out the sky, you know, with all the balloons attached.
Nice. Yeah. So
funny how all the satellites that fall out of the sky are attached to balloons, right? So anything that's supposedly in orbit. Right?
To draw the conclusion, Emirates wouldn't necessarily have to be in the conspiracy to promote all those things they showed me on the airplane, I guess.
Definitely not.
Yeah, they're telling you their
conclusion.
You know, and the very
Hopefully,
first
I've led you down
satellite,
that path.
The very first satellite balloon was a Project Echo, I think it's called. It was in 1958, and the balloon stayed up for 9 years until they decided to bring it down. It was made of mylar.
Interesting.
Yeah, similar
so
shiny stuff that
they
punted at finding at Roswell. It's really interesting, that, wouldn't you agree?
Very much so. So in the beginning, Zinder, you were talking about the ground and how they determine the speed of the plane versus the ground, and so that would be a sphere, right?
Yeah, just by the model.
Spinning
I mean,
ball.
you just have to take the data, you have to take the actual speed, and then you put it through the geometry of the shape of the Earth they show us, and then you get the speed. I mean, it's kind of simple.
Right. And so from you saying that, so Emirates would have to be a part of the conspiracy, I took that as you don't think they are part of the conspiracy, you think it's a spinning ball. Is that how you meant it?
Oh no, I mean, I kinda still a globe earther. I just got another explanation why ships could disappear behind the horizon. So yeah, I mean, I just was looking at it from a flat earther's perspective, which I kinda like to do, because then you can think the other way sometimes and get thoughts you wouldn't have as a globe earther.
Yeah. Then you can actually be open-minded.
Seeing that when you were on the ground in this plane and you could still see a slight curvature from one of the cameras but not the other one, you agree with that?
Yeah, and the camera was built that way that it looked curved, because I looked, and when it landed, it looked I looked at the camera again, and then the airport was a little bit bent towards down, so I knew it was because of the camera, not because of the actual Earth curve.
Right, but people's cognitive dissonance would ignore that part, the part where it's still a sphere while on the ground. And when it's in the air and curving the Earth, they would say, see, the Earth is curved, right? So they don't actually, they're not trying to deceive you. They literally just turn off the information where, wait a minute, why is it curved on the ground, right?
Mm.
Okay, so the second camera that you were looking at that did not have this curvature, I would answer that by saying that the camera had a certain degree of a tilt. So when it's perfectly tilted, you cannot see curve, even if it's on a fisheye.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Yeah. And the camera was away.
Okay, so if you consider that it was a fisheye lens and they are convinced that it's a ball Earth, and they are convinced that satellites are objects spinning, going around the Earth at 17,500 miles, but we've told you that it could be suspended on a balloon. Don't you think that your third idea of the speed of the ground versus an airplane, thus a spinning ball, maybe there's a different reason, and not that it's actually spinning?
Oh, I didn't take this as proof at all. I mean,
okay.
They just let the data through the model, and then they got the results. I mean, they made the math, and as I know, math doesn't have to be reality. Math is only reality applied to reality, and then look really careful and precise at the at the result.
Awesome. I'm proud of you, Zinder.
Thank you for what? I mean,
opening up to reason.
Well, we're not being a globetard, basically.
You're waking up.
Well, not even that. Just recognizing.
Opening up. It doesn't mean that he's going to let go, but at least he's opening up.
Precisely.
You're expanding your mind. That's good.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, still a glober, but I'm open to new ideas.
Get out.
Yeah, all I meant was the fact that you're being critical in this way is an indication that your eyes are beginning to blink and open up. That's all I meant.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really enough to talk about how things don't work on a heliocentric model. Now that the thing with the angle of view, now that I can consider it as an alternate explanation than the Earth's curves blocking ships over the horizon, this kind of made me wake up a little more, right? And so I'm looking forward to see if I can find other reasonable explanations for me how things work on a flat Earth.
So one of the things I remember about your earlier position was exactly what you're talking about in terms of the horizon and ships. So can you explain a little bit where you're at with that? You said that you've heard something that has given you weight for a flat Earth position regarding the horizon. Can you?
Yeah, the thing with the angle of view, which still goes against all my logic, that something can disappear over a flat Earth because of the angle of view, which I kinda goes against how my understanding of light and so on works, but yet it has been demonstrated not only once but many times.
Mind if I interject and try and lay it out for you, because I've been, obviously verbalizing it a lot recently, and I want to try and explain it to you, hopefully, so that at the end of this conversation you understand it implicitly. So, if you understand that, if you forget the height at this point, so you've got a perfect angle to something, you're up in the air for whatever reason, you're half a mile up in the air, so it doesn't matter about the ground cutting the angle down, and you're looking at something going into the distance, and let's just, for conceptual purposes, keep it simple. It's a shoe. So the shoe gets further away from you. Now, as that shoe's getting further away, you understand that the angle that you're seeing is narrowing, i.e. it's getting smaller, the angular size becomes smaller as it goes further away. You understand that first of all, yeah?
Yeah, I understand it.
Okay, so if you understand that, right, so you you get on the ground and you've got the same exact shoe, right? But that shoe is held up in the air, so someone's holding that shoe above their head. You've got the same as up in the air. You've got the same angle to that shoe. You with me so far?
Yeah.
But if you put the shoe on the ground, as you look down, the further down you work, the narrower the angle becomes to that item as you work your way down from 90 degrees to the ground. You've got a more limited angle lower down than you have higher up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because of the surface, right?
Past the surface, very important to mention.
Precisely.
It only works with surface.
Hi, Daniel. Managed to get in the end. You were unfortunate to end up in a room on your own by the sounds. How you doing, Daniel?
Doing good, thank you, Nathan.
Good to have you. So, in the same way, if you can imagine that when something's further away, it's of a smaller angle. It's smaller in the distance and a smaller angle. You can also visualize that if something's lower to the ground, it has a smaller angle than something that's, even if it's the same thing, a building, for example, the lower floor has a smaller angle than the higher floor. And the net effect is the same as it being further away. In other words, it's more squashed at the lower angle than at the higher angle. In the same way as if it was further away, it would, by virtue of it being further away, be a smaller angle. And obviously, you know, it's further away, it's smaller, its angular size is reduced. So it's not that the angle causes something to squash, but that's how you can picture it to explain it. You can say, as you work your way down a building, and this was demonstrated yesterday by Red Pill Philosophy, as you work your way down the building, the lower part of the building is in fact a smaller angle. A smaller angle means smaller angular size, therefore the stuff at the bottom is squashed by comparison to the stuff at the top. So there you go. The angle of attack, as much as people laughed at the strapline I gave it initially, just a catchy title, it's been enough to get people interested and realise that boats going over the horizon is not an earth curve between you and the thing disappearing. It's a limitation of the angle, not only angular size at distance, but as you work your way down the ship, the boat, the person, whatever in the distance, the angle is more limited at the bottom of that thing than it is at the top.
Yeah, and you could take the same example and put it like upside down on a really long bridge. Let's say the bridge has a really flat surface under it, right? And then you go up there with like some climbing equipment, and you stare upside down, and you put like some glue and stick something on the bridge, right, under the bridge, and then you could see the same effect, right?
Yes. Yes,
because it doesn't matter where up and down is, it just matters what is closer to the ground.
Correct. What gives you the angle?
The surface you're looking past.
Precisely, it's the surface.
So in any angle, any orientation, as long as you're looking past a flat surface.
Exactly. Yeah. So you could do the Travis example with the light on the floor in a supermarket. You could do the same thing on a ceiling. You could put your iPhone lens up right next to the ceiling and move a light along the ceiling. And it would have the same effect because of the limitation of the angle to that light as you got further away from the lens. So it's the same exact principle, and as Arwen puts it, it's just down to the surface, limiting your angle. If that surface wasn't there, i.e. you looking across the ground versus you a mile up in the air, well, a mile up in the air, the angle from 90 degrees down is as much as you like because there's nothing blocking the view. As same as it is up into the sky. But when you get down onto the ground, the angle is extremely limited at that, you know, closest to the point of the ground, and that's why you get these effects. You see stuff squashing and disappearing from the bottom up because of a limitation of the angle of view, and that just gets more severe towards the bottom of things as they get further away because their angle at the bottom is more severe. The way to resolve it is to raise up. Well, they say, oh, well, now you're looking over the curve. Well, bollocks to that. No, you've just increased your angle of attack and therefore giving yourself a wider angle to the bottom of something that previously was literally in so small an angle that it could no longer be resolved. It was beyond the angular resolution of whatever it is you were looking through, your eye, your camera, your telescope. And at that point, it is subject to the Rayleigh criterion. or Aries diffraction. In other words, it will be diffracted, and therefore you get these effects where things split in half and then disappear completely, vanish. And that is the diffraction limit of the thing you're looking through being reached and breached. And when it's breached, it's essentially in too small an angle to resolve and has gone from the bottom up.
Mm-hmm. So
the observed phenomena is an optical slant. That is what you see.
Hypothetical, if you were like 5,000 feet up in the air and you built like a I don't know, 10-mile long platform out of glass, and it's night, you can't see when you stand on this glass. Everything downwards looks pitch black, right? So you take the object and you take some light to shine at it so you can see it. The angle of view wouldn't apply on this example, right? I mean, it's glass. So
in the theory, I know what you're saying. You're saying that there's no, forget about Snell's law and refractive indexes of the glass, pretend it's just like the air, right? Yeah, based on that assumption, then yeah, I'd say that you wouldn't see any of these effects.
All right. Just to, I can clarify, right?
Well, no, it would eliminate the angle of attack, but it wouldn't eliminate the angular resolution at distance. So, you know, as you back away from something, it's still going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and eventually reach the diffraction limit. That would happen anyway at distance. But what I'm saying is that stuff at the bottom of anything will reach the diffraction limit by virtue of viewing over a surface and having a limited angle to it. That forces it to reach the diffraction limit sooner at any distance than something that you have a wider angle to. Eventually, if you push it back far enough, all of it will reach that diffraction limit. And then, you know, if it was a 10-story building, potentially you would go back far enough, the whole 10-story building disappears. That's not to say that a 50-story building behind it is not still visible, because that still has a wider angle.
Mm. Yeah, exactly what you said before about reaching the diffraction limit faster than when it's a little bit more up in the air was where I had a really hard time believing it, right? I mean, I fighted against you on this like really long time, and I couldn't believe it, right? I understood the concept of it, but I just didn't think it is reality. I thought I know how light works. I thought that the surface doesn't really matter that much how the light wave will travel to you and reach your eye or your camera. But as some examples have shown, I was kind of wrong on it. So yeah, this was the first thing that brought me a little bit closer to the flat Earth.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. Once the next show finishes, this show will replay, so if you're only just tuned in, you can catch a replay with a live chat on my second channel, which is just called Nathan Oakley. There is a link in the info box. As I say, I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. I suppose I should say bye from Eleanor as well. Bye-bye.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!